Gotta start the podcast with the dance. It's I realize our audio listeners really miss out.
Yep.
Because
Just
they're
come to
missing our
YouTube.
dancing. They're missing our dancing and our silly facial expressions and cats. So,
Cats.
remember,
She was like, I
we
hate
have these
this.
podcasts on YouTube where you can watch our beautiful videos and faces, or you can listen to the audio. So, welcome back to another episode of Living Luna, where we are all about the authenticity here and just being our true selves, really leaning into our dreams and our love.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Therese Skelly, who is just this incredible human. We had the pleasure to meet her in person when we went out to Montana for our Body of Nine training. And the whole weekend, Therese and us, we just connected deeply about everything. And no wonder, because Therese is all about the same things we are. She has a passion for really blending a psychotherapy model and business mentoring and intuition into a business model that really lets her step into her authenticity and help her clients step into that too. So we're so excited to have this conversation with her today and just kind of see where it goes. So, welcome, Therese.
What a fun way to enter the party with and we had a magical connection in Montana. We had some, like, the hot tub, when we were in the hot tub under the stars and just
Yes.
going deep. Like, oh, that's my favorite. I love that kind of stuff. People that can just
Yes.
go in. So it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad we got to connect then and that we're continuing to connect
Yeah.
because that was a very life-changing weekend for us and
Mhm.
has really sort of framed where we're going in our future in understanding ourselves. And it was so cool to meet you and immediately get access to your superpower. So
Mm-hmm.
you're a natural number 6, very
Yep.
go-getter energy, very chest out,
Yeah.
right? Very, very confident, very energetic, and knowing that about you, it just made it very easy to connect with you right away and access those
Mhm.
gifts.
Thank
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Therese.
Where to start? Well, I'll start with a fun fact. Okay, I'm in a relationship with Scott, and we have been riding motorcycles. I'm sorry, he's been riding motorcycles. I've been a friggin' passenger for 4.5 years. And just tonight, we're going motorcycle shopping for my first bike. And there's a part of me, I have to say, what in the hell? Like, what? I'm this age. I have children that depend on me. What even the hell? And I'm like, you know what? Follow the joy, follow the lightness, follow what makes me alive. And so that tells a lot about me. So professionally, I started out as a psychotherapist. So we connected around that, right? I started as a psychotherapist. I did that for lots of decades. And then I moved into life coaching for like 3 minutes. Then I was like, how did I get to be a business coach? I know nothing about business. That was an interesting experiment.
I'm sure.
So I did that for 2 more decades, and if you add the math up, that makes me in my 60s. And then along the way, I realized, and it was such an interesting process. I started knowing things that I didn't know, that I like. How do I know they have a curse and that I can clear it? What even the hell is that, right? And so it took me a number of years, and you'll appreciate this, to move from, wait, I was a therapist and this is how it's done, and then I'm a business coach. So one's the cognitive, the world of the feelings and the mind, the other one's in the world of the strategy, and I'm just knowing all this energy stuff. And apparently people get healed in my presence, right? It
Yeah,
took
they
me
do.
a lot of years. That's why I love seeing you guys are younger and you just step in and step around, you're doing your stuff and your rituals, and I'm like, woohoo, maybe us OGs have paved the way, because I was really terrified to
Yeah.
say, like, yeah, I can heal, or I can't heal, but I access energy, right? And so the journey to really claim all the parts of me has been a really interesting one. So that's why mad respect for anybody like the two of you who are being fully expressed. That's why I'm like, I was like moth to a flame to the two of you. I'm like, oh, look at what they're doing. I love that shit, right?
Well, thank you. I mean, I think it is. people like yourself, first of all, if you are in your 60s, damn, looking great.
64 and a half, sister. I am.
Goals.
Goals.
Here,
Yes,
can we just do
seriously.
the gun show? There we go.
Yeah.
You need the
Damn.
visual.
Serious goals. I don't have any of that.
I work hard at it.
But people like yourself have paved the way for the younger generation to even begin to be able to
Yeah.
step into that, because this is a battle. I mean, intuitive, assigned female at birth people and women stepping into the gifts of intuition and energy and flow and all of that we've been so cut off from as a culture for 5,000 years now.
Yeah. I have goosebumps as you're speaking, because I remember the first time I started referencing anything about spirituality in my work. It must have been like 2008. And though that wasn't acceptable back in the day, like I was a marketing strategist, God damn it. That's all I did, right? Like because I couldn't reveal, there's no talk of the feminine or energy or intuition or, heaven forbid, spirituality or saying the word God or goddess. And I remember the first time I put the word God in an email, I'm like shaking to send it, right? And it was so hard. I literally thought, gosh, if I start talking about what I really love, I will be laughed off the stage. Like I know, here's what it was. Nobody will take me seriously. I'm a business coach. I've got a master's degree in counseling, blah, and I was resting on the laurels of the achievements and the accomplishments and what people say. Boom, we deem that acceptable. You could get through graduate school, yippee skippy, right? And I'm like, yeah, and I have all this other stuff, right? And I was terrified to reveal it because it wasn't accepted back in the day. Everything happens as it should be, but it took me a lot of extra years, right? To like, oh, that's how I work. Shit. It took me so long to put all the pieces together and own it and really own it. So I'm kind of an evangelist about owning all the parts of you, working in the strength of you. Like, just don't hesitate. I think we're in a different time now. We get to do this.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
I mean, I kind of really has in stepping into a therapy role, because I had already walked the path of like trying to shove everything down and do it the societal way and, the acceptable way. And like, it did not work for me. I'm so
Yes.
burnt out, and that's why I'm making the transition. And you, on the other hand, have been able to be authentic from day one. Like,
That's
talk a little
awesome.
bit about your website.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I didn't know this. Tell me.
This is so good.
Yeah, I literally I've been, well, I first have to thank my internship placement, because it's based off of neurodivergent aspects, and it was really cool because like they were of course, as like, we all know, like when you're a baby psychotherapist, or like learning all about the ethics, and you're so like scared that you're gonna like accidentally say something that's going to ruin your client forever, and
Because
that
we have
like,
the power. Yes, we could do that.
yeah, it takes this it took a lot of like reassurance by my supervisor to be like, first of all, humans are resilient, so like, if something that you said really bothered them, then like you can repair that with them. And then it's also like people are more willing to like get into the depths of their stuff if you're willing to, if they don't feel like they're just talking at a wall, or like they don't know who you are.
Good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so I basically, I looked at all of these websites of therapists, of like who they are, and I'm like, no.
You're so boring, right? I do cognitive behavioral and CB2, and then I take a Rogerian approach, like, like they're vanilla. Like you don't see them. I've worked with a lot of therapists, and I'm like, oh, we have to like sex up that bile, because that is solid. Right? So anyway, tell me about your website. How did you make it you?
Yeah, so basically like I was like, oh, I'm gonna make this like the colors that I like, and most of them are kind of like the stark white and like
Neon blue.
Well, that no,
Yeah.
mine, but I'm saying what other people are doing.
Oh yeah,
Like
they go with
others,
the stark white.
they go with
You
the
go
stark
with
white and like the beige and like the pastel colors, and I'm like, no. So I've like space themed and like all of like the pictures that I have on my website that are like, if they're based off of like, the free images, like they're all like Legos, like Lego people doing different things, or like action figures doing different things, because it's like it's for both
It's
like
you.
neurodivergent, queer, and like kids too. So it's like parents have told me that like they've shown my website to their kids,
Oh,
and like to
yes,
see if their kid wants to work with me, and the kid's like, yes.
yes.
compared to that beige, mom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then
Right.
like other people are also like other neurodivergent people are like, whoa, you're like a nerd like I am, and like so this will be
Yeah.
super cool. So it's like as soon as you connect with somebody authentically, it's like they automatically feel this level of like trust and
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
it's kind of scary to do. If you've been raised, y'all know, if you've been raised with any shame or trauma, how
Both of
unsafe
us. Yeah.
how unsafe is it to like stand out, right? And be bold and say all the things, right? So it's that's the work and that's with my clients, it's really interesting. I literally have, and I can be shameless about it because I'm so proud of it, right? I've done the journey myself. Therefore, I get to help people. And it's literally I can help them become the best version of themselves, right? My year, as you know, where is it somewhere? Expansion is my word. Safriana made me a little poster with my word, and that's it, right? And I can feel the soul, I can feel the core, and then I can help with the messaging, such that we can like, oh, that's popping, right? And so I was working with had a discovery call with a parenting coach yesterday, and she's all burned out. And I all of a sudden I'm talking to her, and I have like a visceral response. That's when I know it's truth, like the truth bumps. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
wait, you're the mama bear to the mama bears. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, boom. And it was like, like instead of saying I'm a parent coach and I have been in business for 10 years, like we understand what a mama bear is. We all want a mama bear, right? So it became like an energetic, I love that, right? So I can see that and reveal that because I do it in myself, and I've
Yes.
just been on this journey to be unapologetically fierce and fearless and a little trash mouth, but we like that about me.
And that's what we love about you. That's you find your people when you're authentic.
That's the
Like
brand. We're vetting everybody else.
pretty much, I've really learned in my the business coaching and education that I've gotten post grad school, right? Post doing all of the traditional societal things that you're supposed to do to be seen as valid or worth
Yeah.
it or whatever.
Yikes.
I've really come to understand the more that we're trying to appeal to everyone, we're appealing to no one.
Oh my. Oh yeah.
And
It's draining. And yes, and you talked about assigned female at birth. There are roles that say, especially older people like me, oh, we just know, we just accommodate, right? So that's why I have so much respect for people that stand out and say, fuck the norms, fuck what the expectations are. I love that. And most people, I don't think they live their lives. They get close, but they're too afraid. And so
yeah,
I think the three of us are pioneers. We're helping people to do this work.
right. And to magnetize other authentic people to them by
Mm-hmm.
being their selves.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And you saying, I really like that you referred to the fact that you do your own work. We do our own work. We're all about, I have two therapists, many coaches. You have two therapists and maybe one coach in there, sort of. But
Lots
like
of self-help books.
so lots of
100%.
different ways to help
You have
ourselves.
to.
It's
You
just
have to.
doing the work ourselves that shows other people this is possible.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually look, we're doing it. Therefore, it's an option. And I'm releasing 2 chapters in 2 multi-authored books soon.
No,
And I think in both of those chapters this time, like I acknowledge that, like
yeah.
I had to walk this really messy path to step into my authenticity, and I didn't know it was an option. I didn't know it was an option until my first long-term therapist, the first therapist that as an adult I deeply resonated with, because I'd been in therapy throughout my youth and I hated almost all of them because of
Yeah.
course they didn't know how to relate to me.
Exactly. Sure.
Therapists even 20 years ago were a hot
Yeah, they often suck.
they're still a hot mess on the whole, but that's a whole nother story for a whole
Yeah.
nother day. But
Yeah.
anyway, once I found a therapist that I really resonated with, and she showed me what self-compassion looked like for
Oh,
herself, I was like, I've never in my life seen that before. I literally hadn't
yeah. Yeah.
until her. And so this authenticity piece, right? You being this therapist that's like, look at the Legos on my website. I'm not trying to be everyone else. It's showing other people, oh, that's an option. So people already know that's an option with you.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I remember having a lot of discussions with clients, especially when it's like clients who come in and being like, "Oh, I don't really have any like bad things to talk about today." And I'm like, "Why do we have to talk about the bad? Like,
Exactly.
tell me more about you. Like, what are your
Exactly.
favorite things
Right.
to do? Like, I'll pull up like, you know, I'll go on Google and look up like 100 deep questions to ask your friend or something, and we'll like go through them or whatever, and just like get to know each other, because it's like, might as well like feel comfortable with that aspect too, because a lot of times people are like, people don't want to know about me, and I'm like, sure I do. Like,
Oh,
I
that's
don't
so
want to know
cool.
just about your trauma. Like,
No, that's so good. Well, when I first started, I not well, first started, but in the old days, it was really kind of repulsive, right? It was, hi, I'm a marketer, and here's a screen capture of me and my yacht, and hey, here's a screen capture of my $1 million day, and I'm like,
oh God.
it's just gross, right?
Mhm.
I love how I be and how you all be, because it's just like, hi, well, that launched kind of shit. That didn't work. Let me show you what went wrong and how I handled that.
Mm.
Because I had a disappointment, and I'm not going to pretend like, oh, it's great, like I'm better than you, right? Because to me, the gift that we give our people is, yeah, we've achieved. Yeah, we're here. And there's days that it just bites ass, right? There's days that we all have the doubts or the fears of life situations. That to me is a way better mentoring and guidance experience, because if I'm sitting here and you're making 10 million, I look at you and I could say, I could never do that. But if you're here and I'm like, wow, they're being real, they struggle too, and they succeed and they have fun, I could get there. And so to me, it's imperative that we share all the parts of it and not just the shiny parts.
Yeah.
I love what you just said about, this is how it should be. So,
Yeah, like relatability is
oh my gosh.
so, like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are like almost like desperate to be related to, but they aren't
Mhm.
going to do it until there's an invitation, or else they're afraid that like people are going to judge them for their humanness. Like, there's, as you
Right.
were saying about like the role of women for so long has, been just like, just conform,
Yeah.
just do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're not in a, like, conforming and like trying to be perfect causes so much distress in so many people, and they don't even realize it, to it becomes like just a reflex for them, and you're not even happy where you're at, like, yeah, you're afraid of breaking out of the norm, but you're not happy in the norm, so like,
Right.
yeah.
I think about it. I kind of, do they have role models, right? Are they hanging out with people like you guys and me, where it's like, oh, it's possible? Or are they in their little microcosm of, well, this is your lot in life. This is what women do. This is all you get, right? Because I know I call myself a shame buster, because I've battled hard with shame, and it's so freaking insidious. And I feel like the whole persona, false self. Oh, I couldn't tell people, like, I couldn't, I don't want to, like, if they're just unsafe, they don't feel safe because of the shame, right? So those of us who work through the shame, it's like, I'm lovable however I show up. Like, that's the goal, right? Like, let me tell you this story. This is very cool. So I run, it's called the Activate membership community, and I love it so much. It's $97 a month, best business coaching ever. And it's a membership. There's wonderful women in it. Wonderful. You know some of them from our shared community. And we were having a mastermind. This was on Thursday. And I was talking about the mindset of marketing, because it's all the mindset of marketing. Because when you go to sell or make an offer, you're in your stuff, right? It is like that's when it hits, right? And one woman was saying something, because I was like getting them to surface, like, what are your fears around marketing? What are your disappointments? Let's talk about that. This one woman said something like, well, I'm afraid that if I'm not the most intelligent person in the room, I blah blah blah. And I'm like, can I go? Do I have you know what I'm talking about, right? And I just said, okay, stop. I want you to say this. I said, I want you to, her name. I said, I want you to say, I'm a fuck up. And she says it. And I say, then now say, I really think I'm smart, but sometimes I make mistakes. And she says it. And I say, I want you to say, and I'm terrified that you won't love me if I'm not so smart. And I could just see her. She's going along, and I could just see all the shame just come up. Right? And in that moment, I was able to say, hey, can we love you right here? Can we love you if you fail? Can we love you if you don't get it right? Can we love you not being the smartest one in the room? And she's like, yeah.
I'd also probably be crying at that point.
Like, how was it when you saw her not be the smartest one and share how scary it is to not be the smartest one? They were like, we love you. Oh my God. And that's it, right? When we're in our, I'm really smart, I have everything organized, where people are like, okay, weird. But when somebody says, I'm really afraid that I'm like, I don't know if I'm lovable here. Boom. That's the magic of it. And I'm all about bring it to light, because that, shame can't hide in the light. And so that's an example of, you can do, and I'm like, this is business coaching. Wah, wah. Wink, wink. Don't come to my community unless you want to do deep soul work. Anyway, yeah. But for me, that lesson is far more important than, hey, let's get 3,700 Twitter followers, right? Ugh. And we focused easily. We always gonna get like shiny object strategy. I want more, as opposed to do your freaking work.
Yes.
Then the strategy can work. Because if you have shame, I'm going, hey gals, yeah, if you have the best strategy in the world, but if you're terrified that if you put a marketing message out, you're going to be judged and killed or rejected, how do you think that's going to work, right? So the correlation with the inner game is massive. It is just so.
It is, yeah. And I actually just had a great conversation this morning with Kayla Jetta, who's one of the co-founders of the Rise Leadership Circle. She's in business with her mother, Lisa Lamata, and they do a lot of mindset and business coaching. And we were just talking about, I said, what do you do? Because I'm at this point in my life where I'm pretty damn joyful most of the time. And I recognize all emotions are important. They're valid. They are information. They need to be seen, valued, worthy, etc. Even the shame and the fear and all that good stuff that we don't like. And I said, I really struggle sometimes when I'm seeing other people who are really struggling to access that. They're struggling to access the joy. They're beating up on themselves regularly, right? They're saying, I'm stupid. I'm not the smartest one in the room. I'm not worth it. Whatever. And my heart breaks for them, because I was there and now I'm where I am. And I'm like, I don't have to beat myself up anymore. And it's beautiful. And so I was talking to Kayla and I'm like, what do you do when you're feeling bad for other people? And she's like, I don't feel bad for people anymore. I just hold the door open for them, knowing that they're going to come through to this side of joy and the side of not having to beat themselves up just simply by seeing that the door is open. They might not walk through anytime soon, but I'm still going to be here with the door open in my joy and in my full humanness and full range, demonstrating that it's possible. And I thought that was really beautiful. So I wanted to share that here, because that is something I super struggle with, is seeing other people suffering.
And it's hard. It's really hard. And I always go, and they have a soul journey.
Yep.
Right. And the role modeling. And I like, kind of like you, I think you use the same word, like the compassion, the gentleness. Oh, isn't that sad? Or isn't that adorable? There's a part of me that feels like I'm a piece of shit. Oh, it's okay. Right. Like just that sweet, just deep self-compassion and gentleness it changes everything. But most people don't know how to do that. So we have to be modeling and talking about it to say, hey, there's another way, right?
Yeah. And some people literally don't know there's another way.
Most people don't. I think we are the outliers. We're the crazies on the edges. But more of us are coming, right? I think there's more. We're growing.
Well, yeah, we're like the first wave in a way, you know. Intersectional feminism has really only taken off recently. You know, Black feminism, intersectional feminism, out of the need to understand how all of these it's not just gender, it's not just sex,
Right.
it's all of the aspects of our human experience, our race, our ethnicity, our sexual orientation, our religious upbringing, our socioeconomic status. And yeah, a majority of people, when you start to really look at the intersection, have not had privilege to access healthy relationships and healthy coping skills and communication skills and all of that, because most of us went to public school where we don't learn anything of actual use. And I say that 100% fully my spicy self as an ex-public school teacher. I have a degree in education, and I think our education system is a shit show because it doesn't actually teach us how to communicate, how to self-care, how to take care of us, how to
Well, it was
do our
designed.
taxes.
It was designed to make people compliant employees.
Yep.
So it teaches people to sit down and raise your hand and wait for permission and not, you know. So yeah, that needs a whole overhaul too. Isn't it fascinating that a lot of the systems are breaking down? I kind of love that. I'm like, ooh, let's watch this thing go, right? It needs to break down. So it's yeah.
So we're this really strong wave coming in with the full understanding of intersectional feminism that everyone is being impacted
Yep.
by how fucked up things are right now. And the system is working as intended for those who created it and maintain its power. And for everyone else, it's not working. And we're gonna destroy it because there's 99% of us.
Exactly. Right.
And that's the empowerment piece. You know, I hear so many people talk about like, oh, my voice doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Because the dominant culture has told you it does not matter. That doesn't make it true.
Good. Yes. Preach it.
Oh, I do. I'm almost
I know you do.
like daily now.
Okay, yeah.
My poor mother thinks I'm going to be murdered. You know, going back to your person in your mastermind, like, or just the experience of I'm afraid to put myself out there because I may be attacked, right? I may be physically attacked
Absolutely.
or
Yes.
verbally, mentally, emotionally. And is that really serving you to stay silent too? Or is that you attacking yourself?
Well, I just trust because our ego is our brain is gonna look for all the reasons why we shouldn't, right? Because the brain wants to keep us safe, small, and stuck. And I just kind of think, you know, if it is your purpose and your mission, there's got to be protection. I don't think you would be given. Apparently they can murder people. I don't know. And yes, people are harmed. I'm not going to say that doesn't exist, but I just really believe if it's your soul's work to do, it's meant to be. You'll be protected, and it's going to get out there. So it's just saying yes to it, right? It's like, okay, yeah. I'm on. You know, that's the big one. That's the scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm a natural number 9, so fear is my Achilles heel, and I always tell my mom, like, hey, if I'm meant to die in the line of my work, then I trust that that was the mission that I was meant to do.
But you've lived doing your work, and that's the thing, right? That's like, you know, can I go back to my motorcycle example? On one hand, why in the hell would anybody ever ride a motorcycle? It is not, it can be risky, right? There's dumbasses that are texting and swerving, not the motorcycle riders. And yet, oh my gosh, I don't know if either of you have ridden, but the freedom, it's just, you see the world differently. It's just like, do I want to just live in my little, I don't want to be unsafe, I'm afraid, or like, I want to rust out, right? I'm like,
just ride free.
The closest thing we have to riding a motorcycle is riding a water motorcycle, aka jet ski.
Well, I have actually fun story.
Oh.
Ridden a motorcycle and I nearly died.
Oh, okay.
But I was 15-ish,
Okay.
15ish.
Thanks for that. Anyway,
And
as I'm buying my first motorcycle today, hey, thanks. Go ahead. Keep going.
but again, I didn't even know how to drive a car yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're going to be okay, especially because you've been on them. You felt the balance before. This is literally, I was like 14, 15, and my ex-stepfather was like, yeah, you can ride my motorcycle. And
It's
just let
really
me
hard.
ride it in the front yard. And I hit the throttle
Oh,
real
yeah,
hard and
yeah.
went zooming towards a tree. And the tree had a branch right here. And I managed at the last possible second to dive off the bike and not hit the tree. So I'm still here.
Yeah. Well,
But
I took a class. I took all
you're
the
going to be
training,
good.
right? And I'll practice. And as boyfriend tells me, you fell off an electric bicycle and broke your wrist. So you've not been harmed ever on a motorcycle, but somehow on a bicycle you managed to hurt yourself. So it is what it is, right?
Get one you're comfortable on, right? Get one that you feel is alive for you and that you
Exactly.
intuitively trust. And
Exactly. Yeah. And I will tell you, when I took the motorcycle class, because I had no desire to do this. And then suddenly I'm on the back with sexy man. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I've been for 4.5 years. And I was like, nope, I'm a passenger. But this friend of mine, who's this adorable woman looking like a badass on her motorcycle, I'm like, there's something to that. So suddenly I'm like, and so Scott's like, just take the class, take the class. It was the coolest, most expansive thing, because I had never been on it. Like, and there's a lot, the clutch, the brakes, there's like so many things to do at the same time. And yet it was the most enlivening experience. So was it scary? Yes. But was it like, oh my God? And I was like, more, more please. I want to live that way, because I lived with a lot of trauma and a lot of struggle for a lot of years. And now that I'm in an easier phase, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to live that way. Right?
I mean, that's like full circle to what you were talking about in terms of us like modeling everything. Because like you were in this space of like, I'm a pastor, I'm a passenger, and one of your friends modeled the, being like a fucking badass on a motorcycle, and you're like, and that got your gears turning of like, maybe I can do this too. And that's what we want to be, is we want to be those metaphorical model badass motorcyclists who inspire other people who are thinking that they still need to be in that metaphorical passenger spot.
Yeah.
Magnificently said. Yeah. And I know that it wasn't like, oh, I'm doing this because my boyfriend wants me to, because I didn't want to for 4 years. And then I'm like, that's possible. That's a positive. Then I sat on her bike and I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean? It's interesting, the seed, the little tiny, like, I wonder, oh shit, no, I couldn't do it. Maybe, oh, like, you know what I mean? The little seedlings that are, and are you listening to those seedlings? Right. Because a lot of us are like, oh, that's crazy. I don't have the money. That's not going to work. And just following, that's what I do. That's kind of a new thing, is like, follow the joy, like follow the little, even if it's crazy. I literally got 2 calls today in the last day, like, I'm sorry, I can't support my best friends. I can't support your motorcycle. I'm like, I hear you. It's all right. And I'm still going to follow my joy, right? Like, I know you're trying to take care of me and love me. And I'm going to follow the joy, because that's what life's wanting for me. And I'm always in tune, me, I'm a 6, I'm following the energy. So that's how I roll.
Yeah. And I mean, that's an important thing too. Like, sometimes we follow our joy and other people aren't happy about that for whatever reason. They're afraid.
Yeah.
Maybe it's bringing up shame for them, or disappointment that they didn't get to do the same thing, or like any number of things that will get us in our head comparing.
The word amongst all of us therapists that we know is projection.
Yeah.
Projection, yes. Projecting our stuff. And so it's important to remember, even if someone tries to disrupt our joy, we don't have to give into that. We don't have to immediately go, oh, there's something wrong with my joy. Maybe I should put it down. We're allowed to say, oh, thank you for your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you care about
me. Isn't that lovely to be, it's the both and, right? I hear you and I'm still doing what I want. And I hear you, right? Not, how dare you, or, oh, they're right. Like, it's really nice. Again, when you're solid in yourself, you can allow for other people to have their own experience.
So yeah, I think that's really crucial, because I feel like there has been like this theme that's popped up in a lot of our recent podcasts regarding the idea of self-trust. And so it's like, if you are not in that space of being able to trust yourself, as soon as someone comes in with their projection, you're like
That's
questioning and doubting and immediately
yeah.
like, I couldn't do this, and you're not following your joy because you're just like, your joy isn't valid because you can't feel like you can trust your joy. And so
Mm.
it's like, that's the work that, we want to be able to model, is like, following your joy is fucking scary, but also it's worth it.
That is so well said. I cannot that because I think that's a theme that people don't. Do you know what I mean? It's just I remember I used to say to people, "How do you know what you know? Right? Are you going to be manipulated by propaganda or other people's strong opinions, or because we all were. I shouldn't speak for all. I was a flaming codependent. Of course, I was a therapist, right? I mean,
Us too. It's fine.
Flaming hot
right, but
codependent.
it was easy to like, oh, that's right, you're right. Okay, what was it? And now oh my gosh. So I love that y'all are much younger and you're sitting in it. It didn't take you an extra, you know what I mean? The fact that it's already established and anchored, because it's exhausting if you don't, right? So props to the two of
And it's
you.
a work in progress, right? Like
100%.
codependence and that like people pleasing are parts that are still
Yeah.
a little afraid, right? We're always going to have to nurture and love those parts
Yeah.
because those
Yeah.
old patterns existed for so long that even if we have healed from the pattern
Mhm.
as well as we possibly can, at some point we will cycle back
Mhm.
around because that's life, right? We're constantly in the spiral of circling back to anniversaries, birthdays, death days, the time that trauma happened, every Tuesday, like literally whatever our temporal relationship is, eventually we're going to spiral back around to that energy and to be able to be affirmed in ourself of it's okay that I am feeling this struggle. It's okay that I'm struggling with the codependence, the flamin' hot
We have to figure
we're
that
gonna
out.
make a t-shirt now,
Yeah.
flamin' hot codependence.
That's so
Because
good. Oh, that's so good. Yes. Because we're all like, oh, I raise the hand,
yeah.
That's so good. That's so
Yes.
good.
We need to be able to say, even though I'm struggling with this old pattern, it doesn't mean I have to go back into it. I'm just here to see how I've healed from it and the way that I'm interfacing in my life in a new way, right? And it's constant. Like I really say that I only tackled my codependence in the last 6 months, which is really not that
Wow.
long.
Wow.
However, I became aware of it, like even the term aware of it about 2-ish years ago now. And then I was like, well, I had heard the term before. I'd never heard it in the definition of trying to manage other people's feelings so that you don't get hurt. And then I heard that definition and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, this
Yeah.
is me. Right. So there's different flavors of codependence and how it shows up. But
I've done that to clients before.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
they're like, oh no.
They're like, I
Me
thought
too?
yeah, they're like, I thought only my partner was codependent, but I guess I am as well.
No,
I'm
you
like,
just have a different flavor of it.
yep.
Yeah, and so these last 2-ish years have been me deep diving, and I'll still have moments where I'm like, hey, I am calling out my codependent part is here. She would like to
It's
do this
awesome.
thing instead, but what I need is to say this thing. So, and I just call it out now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's it, right? That's the compassion. It's not wrong. It's just awareness. And then if you're in a relationship, it's like, oh, okay, then we're all healing it with it, right? So that's magnificent.
Yeah, and it's like, I think there's I've been as a zillennial who is on TikTok.
I'm robbing the cradle, basically.
Yeah, I have a younger person as well. So anyway.
Yeah. So basically, there have been a lot of concepts of like what secure attachment talk looks like, and it's very robotic. And it's like, you can still be compassionate, you can still be crying, it can still look messy, it can still
Yeah.
like there, we like I cry all the time.
Natural number one,
And
Pisces.
double Pisces. It's a roughness. But it's the fact of being like, you can say your piece, and I will receive it. Crying might happen, but the crying is not to like manipulate you to do anything else. It's just like, I just cry.
That's how I process
That's how I
my
process.
feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's also that too of like, while you were working on the codependence thing, it was like, I remember you saying at one point saying like you still struggle sometimes with like the can't stand seeing people hurt and be
Which is
processing that stuff.
triggered when you're crying, probably, right?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
see?
It's hard for anyone to witness the person that they love
Yeah, I mean,
cry.
and it took me a good like probably 8 months of solidly working on every time they would cry, me being like, and they're allowed to cry, and I don't have to do anything, and this is still okay, and like
Yeah,
literally reassuring that
yeah.
codependent part of me that's like, scrap everything you're saying, throw in the towel, comfort, 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 soothe the
Mhm.
emotion. No, like that doesn't help any of us heal.
Mhm.
It just masks.
And it enables as well because it's kind
Yeah.
of like while I'm crying, there could have been a part of me that's like, oh, thank God, like I'm getting reassurance, or like if there is any sort of subconscious manipulation
Mhm.
happening because of like the reinforcer that
Mhm.
happens, it's like that's happening too. So it's like when I get to cry and that behavior not necessarily be enabled, I can then just cry for the processing purposes and not
Right.
cry for the
It's
reinforcement.
clean. It's clean. Yeah,
Yeah.
there really is something I think most people don't have never probably experienced just the beautiful space holding, right? You can cry and I'm just right here and I don't need you to be different and I'm not trying to like, oh shit, I'm anxious, you know what I mean? Because that's what happens. We get triggered. We either have to like, we're not safe often. It's like,
Right.
oh my God, somebody's crying or somebody's angry. Imagine. And so just to be like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm just here. It's
Yeah.
like that's the most beautiful gift. And it sounds like that you guys are working on that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, we try to be pretty honest that, we're human, and on the outside, I know a lot of people love to be like, you guys are the cutest ever, and your relationship is like 100% healthy all the time. And I'm like, where did you get that impression from? If we've ever tried to sell that to
yeah,
anyone,
because you're all trying to promote that. Like you're all just real.
we're
So
real.
but
Should I
again,
just like have my like phone on for a TikTok really quick, like whenever I'm like sobbing and we're like,
This is real.
it's like this is the realness.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh my gosh. But yes, just caveating on that, like, again, if you're anchored in yourself and you feel confident in yourself and you know who you are and you can feel the separation between you and others and know at the same time there's unity, right? Being separate can be even more joining in a way, like when you acknowledge your edge. If you feel really anchored in yourself, then you're not going to feel the need to stop your authenticity because someone else is having a reaction. And so the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line, do your work, people. Please.
I second that.
Yes.
And don't wait till don't take all the decades. Do it when you're younger. We'll say
If that's an option
well, I
for
mean,
you,
you know,
yes.
actually, it's really fun. I will just share this because I have the age thing happening, right? And when I first started dating Scott, I was not a woman that's like, does this person make my ass look big? Like, I was not that at all. I'm not into the whole beauty thing. Whatever. And then I dated a younger hottie, and I'm like, oh God, I've got wrinkles. Oh Jesus. And it was so weird because it was like, oh, I literally have taken on the cultural thing because it wasn't living in me. I walked into the like, okay, now I have to be insecure because he's in my life, sex thing that he is, right? And it was stunning to be like, wait, mine, not what's really mine? And I bought like $2,000 of face cream, like when I was in the not mine shit, right? I'm like, what are you even doing, right? But that's the, and then I finally had to say, I have done 4 decades of personal growth work. So yeah, I got but I cannot trade that for like that to me is way more important. And so it's what we value, right? So I think women have been trained to you're how you look or or people have been trained like what you achieve, like we're all the externals. And it was so yummy just to get in the like, yeah, play the age card. Don't hide, don't apologize. There's nothing fake here, right? Just own the freaking work that I've done for all those decades. And so
Yeah.
work on it and just keep working. So
And again, goals, right? We
goals.
wanna be as happy, healthy, joyful, aligned. as you
Well,
are.
you have a good start. The two of you are, I just mad respect for the two of you because you're doing it, you're talking it, it's just magnificent. So I just love seeing what you all are up to in the world, and big fan. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you.
A big fan of
So,
Living Luna, right? Is that how they say it?
yes, living Luna.
Living, loving, unashamed, and nurturing authenticity.
Boom. I think we have done that in this show.
I would say so.
Yeah.
And I hope you go pick out the perfect motorcycle, and I hope you send us pictures of this
I
motorcycle.
will.
And I hope you do a photo shoot on this motorcycle.
But you will not be surprised. You will not be surprised at all, Safriana, based on what you did. It's a red motorcycle.
Yes.
I hope I get the red, because we have to negotiate. Boyfriends do negotiate, because I'm like, oh, all the other ones are black. I don't want that. It looks like everybody else. So I went for this cherry freaking red, beautiful Indian motorcycle. So we'll see.
Yes.
I'll send you pictures.
So cool.
Please do. So, Therese, if people would like to be more in your energy, what kinds of people tend to work with you in your mastermind group?
Thank you. Well, I have 2 levels of mastermind. So I have the $97 one, and those are for the generally business owners that are like under 50,000. They're newer, and the focus there, I say, is owning your value and visibility, right? So they're the people that haven't yet, they haven't yet gotten to the point where they're super solid. And everybody, not a surprise, I work with mission-driven, service-based business owners. Like, there are people like we all would be, dancing around fire together. And then so that's called the Activate membership. And it's just lovely. I'm very proud of that community, because I fostered, I created it with founders. Like, I handpicked 20 women and said, let's do it. And now I'm opening it to the public, because now I'm like, I set the culture, boom. And then I have the Expansion Mastermind, and that's that's only 6 people for 6 months, and it's a closed group container, and that's for the more, closer to 6 figures. And so we do the blend of the both. Those guys, it's more expand and energize your soul purpose. So while we're doing strategy, it's really like next level, like what you're doing, Safrana. Like, wait, I was doing this, and like, wow, I want to do that instead. Holy shit, right? So that's the Expansion Mastermind. So activate and expand, and then there's private coaching.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Those sound very nourishing, and your energy is just so lovely. And yes, you have the superpower to feel what's alive in somebody, like in the moment. And that is, talk about good coaching skills. Like, just having that innate ability is going to skyrocket your ability to be with the coaching. So thank you so much for this conversation. It is a pleasure, as always, to be in your energy and share space with you. We would love to have many, many more conversations with you.
We will. Our journey is just started. All
yes.
Right. Magnificent. Thank you so much.
Well, until next time, Living Luna, thank you so much, Therese, and we will catch you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.